Welcome to
Introverts, Own Your Voice. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna.
This episode is Your Secret Charisma. Hidden Methods for Influence and Trust.
I already trust you.
Excellent. I'm so glad about that. In fact, my question is, when have you felt charismatic? Okay, I see that you're hesitating. So I'll just share with you, Johanna, a time I saw you being charismatic. We were walking around in a particular city, and we were with a friend, Dave, a friend to both you and me.
Yes.
And you guys got on a roll. You guys were being funny, and you were being witty, and your timing was great. It was a moment of you being natural. It was a moment of you being funny, and it was a moment of apparently you being at ease.
I was having fun.
That can often bring about a charismatic energy to yourself, but also to those people around you. So I felt that that was an example of you being naturally charismatic. And you weren't trying. You were in the zone. So what we're going to talk about is charisma. Now, some of us don't feel like, oh, I'm not witty on command. Or some of us don't feel like we were given certain gifts, like we don't look a certain way, or we don't, if you're male, don't have that deep voice. KBLX, the quiet storm. I would call these gifts a certain kind of appearance, stereotypically attractive appearance, or a certain type of voice or body shape as magnetic charisma.
Oh.
I've been a feature film director. I've been working with some very attractive people. The thing is, they look that way, but some of them, you don't want them to be your friend because they don't know how to be a really good, trustworthy friend. So that leads me to another place. We were talking about magnetic charisma. So somebody, just because of their way they move or the way they look or the way they sound, they're just attractive that way. Magnetic charisma. Some people have said that about a young Bill Clinton. I actually attended a luncheon. And my goodness, the way this guy talked, if he said, everybody now reach for your checkbook, we're going to save the spotted cockroach. We would have done it. We would have just, how much would you like for the spotted cockroach? So the idea here is that Bill Clinton was gifted, it appears. He's still on the planet. He was just gifted during that particular time where I saw him at this particular luncheon. Now, other people said this about Ronald Reagan. They said that he was the great communicator. Now, there's something else besides magnetic charisma. There's something I call natural charm charisma.
Oh.
We introverts often demonstrate that because we're great listeners. And we're really focused and we're with you. And we like talking with people one-to-one. Natural charm charisma. And then the next one, and this is very much about what we're talking about in this episode, is warm trust charisma. Now, the subtitle of what we've been talking about is Hidden Methods for Influence and Trust. We're going to aim to come across as more trustworthy, more charismatic, and AIM is our word. Every letter is going to stand for a method. And the first thing is A stands for align your internal being. Now, that sounds like pretty intense stuff. I'm going to align my internal being. Particularly for those of us who are really being pushed around, feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired, and that's an important detail. It has been suggested that you really have to pay attention to how you're doing. For example, there's this phrase, HALT, standing for hungry, angry, loneliness, tiredness. You can't be charismatic, you can't be in that space of warm trust charisma if you're being shot down or impaired by hunger, or being angry, or being tired, or being lonely. When we want to align our internal being, this means that some of us, I would do this. Before speaking to MBA students, I'd be on a train, and on that train, I would do a 3-minute meditation. So I could get myself into a good, calm, nurtured space inside. See, I'm not looking to be put in that space. Now, it has been shown in certain research, and certain authors are noticing this, that you could actually imagine being hugged for 20 seconds by someone you really love and who is so nurturing towards you. It could be a grandmother. And in imagining that, you could actually activate oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone inside our bodies, particularly for women. Just by imagining being hugged, you can align your internal body state.
Why imagine when you can actually get a hug? Come here.
Okay. Thank you. Anyway, but my point here is that we have more control over our internal state if we pay attention. Let's move on to I of AIM. Intensify experiences for trust. How we talk, what we talk about, what stories we tell, they either create a trust in the other person, for us, for what we can do, or they put up barriers to that trust. For example, if somebody comes into a job interview and they're late and they say, oh, the traffic was horrible, I hate drivers who do this and all that stuff, that is not creating experiences for trust. Because what they're doing is they're putting all responsibility on everybody outside. And you don't need somebody to join your work team who is a blamer, who puts all the responsibility outside to other people. Now, if the person says, I'm sorry, I made a mistake today, or I'm sorry, this was unusual. Usually I leave early. There was something that came up with my son and I needed to be at the school a little longer than I expected. Just tell the truth, but tell it in a way that I decided I did this, I took care of this, not blaming, oh, that terrible school, boy, why won't they get their act together? That kind of behavior. And this is all we have to realize. Your face, your body language, the stories you tell, you either are telling things with your body language or your tonality or your actual stories. You're either doing something where we can trust you or we can't trust you. That's why you never complain about a previous workspace or job or previous supervisor.
It also puts a bad light on you because, you know, why would I want to hire somebody who's doing this to other people?
Right, because if you're bad-mouthing other people who are not in the room, then when you're not in that room, let's say you were talking to a hiring manager, you might bad-mouth them because that's all we can pick up. So what we need to do is we need to intensify experiences for trust. So I see that you used to work at XY company and now you're applying with us. How was it at XY company? Oh, it was terrific. There were some really great people I got the opportunity to work with. We were able to do this, and it was so much fun because we were all dedicated. I mean, I loved putting all my effort and all my attention on making the team goal come true. See, this is all the kind of expression that intensifies experience for trust. Our next thing is now M of AIM, and that's move out the distractions. Now you see this in TV shows or movies where one roommate gets mad at the other roommate, and next thing you know, all their stuff is now on the sidewalk outside the apartment's window. You move out the distractions like you move out the terrible roommate. Now what are these distractions? Distractions can be, well, certainly if you have a scowl on your face or if you're feeling upset inside, or if to the job interview, for example, on the way there, let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic. You have got to do what's necessary to bring yourself into a better, more peaceful space, including maybe taking a walk around the block before you actually walk into the place, and deep breathe while you're walking and look at the sun that's out. Not directly, that's not good for the eyes, but I mean being aware of the sun glistening on the leaves and see the trees in the park area next to the building or whatever it is. But you have to get yourself to a good space, move out the distractions inside yourself, so that you won't have those distractions causing trouble that prevents you coming across with warm trust, charisma.
It's also a good idea, like try to get to work a little bit early so that you can deep breathe in your car, maybe play some nice music.
Absolutely, and that takes us back to the first part, which was A, for align your internal being. Music is fantastic. I can listen to certain music that will just instantly transport me to a wonderful, good feeling, just fantastic. And in fact, it's great to develop a playlist before you go to the job interview. So what is my enthusiastic, uplifting energy? You're simply the best is a particular chorus of a song. And if that pumps you up and you feel really good, now some of us have to chill out because some of us may come across with too much. So maybe we need something more soothing and more refreshing and more quiet to get to a nice calm down position. If someone is more excitable, you might need to get to a calm down position. But all of these elements form your secret charisma because this is happening inside you. And all of these methods are about making you more influential. You see, your confidence is contagious. Your calm is contagious. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Your good feelings about life is contagious. You might find it necessary or valuable to write in a journal all the things you're grateful for. To get ready for a speech, or if you're addressing a meeting or talking with a prospective client to help them actually sign the contract and get going with your company. So the whole idea is your secret charisma is based on developing yourself with these elements we've been talking about so that you come across with warm, trust, charisma. See, one thing that's very important is that some people will come across very well in terms of having this personal power, this energy, this strength. But without coming across with warmth, you might come across as arrogant.
Yes.
And that's something you have to be careful about. We want to know that you care about us. We want to know that you're a warm human being. And we want to know that you temper the power with warmth. So here's a good time for a Marcoux moment. And that's when I share an excerpt from one of the 47 books up on Amazon at the moment. And this book is, as you could guess, it's called Your Secret Charisma. The subtitle is How to Repair Business and Personal Relationships and Gain Trust and Forgiveness for Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment. If we go to page 7, and I talk about on this page, when many of us talk about charisma, we're only talking about what I call magnetic charisma. That's the compelling kind in which a charismatic person pulls you in. This book is about another form of charisma, what I call warm trust charisma. This is the form of charisma that gives you the true and long-term relationships that create personal fulfillment and success. If you're going to go far in business, you need people to trust you. Now, I want to move from that excerpt over to page 8, where I have a summary of a distinction between two forms of charisma. Magnetic charisma attracts. Warm trust charisma gains cooperation for the long term. This book, Your Secret Charisma, is about warm trust charisma, and it's also about certain situations, whether it's with family members or with business associates or with clients or customers, where you really need to repair the relationship. You can do that with warm trust charisma. In fact, a point that some people who are magnetic, who are physically attractive or have that particular voice or appearance in certain ways, they may not have the skills to repair relationships. They may not have the skills to develop long-term relationships. We hear about all the sad situations with movie stars, how they go through 3, 4, 5 different marriages, something like that, because maybe along the way, what would help them is to learn warm trust charisma. So then they would have not only their magnetic attributes, their gifts, but then they would also know how to develop that long-term relationship. So that closes out our excerpt here from the book, Your Secret Charisma. And now I'm curious, Johanna, what are you going to keep from our conversation?
I really enjoyed the part about where you told us to kind of calm down before an interview. Maybe if you're more of a hyper person, using relaxing music.
I'm with you. So it's very customized to the person. And it really depends on how you might want to counteract. If you are more energetic, then you need calming music. If you are a person who seems to be kind of quiet, then maybe you need music to help you become more exuberant, more enthusiastic, so that you are able to perform at your best. And performing at your best is part of expressing warm trust charisma so that you can create the happiness, connection, and fulfillment and success that you really want. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Tom.
For articles and videos, go to getthebigyes.com. Also, visit yourbodysoulandprosperity.com. We're glad that you heard this broadcast, and we invite you to
Click to subscribe.
And then you'll be supporting me and Johanna and our message.
And so now remember,
Introverts can show their best self with strategy.
I'm Johanna McLeod.
I'm Tom Marcoux.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.